welcome everybody to the kickoff meeting of our new season, at which we're going to talk about the renewal, or what it takes to have renewal in downtown Larchmont. Because of the number of speakers and the nature of the meeting, I'm not going to have everybody introduce themselves as we usually do, but I will ask for any announcements, or does anybody have an announcement on behalf of an organization they belong to? Janet, did you want to?
I'm just passing these out to everyone, but we have another drug take-back day coming up
good.
Saturday at Larchmont Village Hall. So I hope you all can clean out your medicine cabinets and take advantage of this opportunity to get rid of your medicines that are outdated or no longer needed.
Great.
Thank you.
Mary Lee?
25 this Saturday.
Tell where.
Everywhere. The library, basically, around St. Augustine's Library, Town Hall, that area.
Right. Okay. Marlene?
And also at 125, the opening of the Ryder Garden at noon at the library. You have to repeat it. At the opening of the Ryder Garden at the Larchmont Library at noon.
Great. Anything else? Janet?
Well, this is very important because we need volunteers from the summit. The bocce tournament, this is the second annual bocce tournament. We're at Home on the Sound. It will be Sunday, 2:30 over here. And I expect, I'm playing, Elaine is playing. We need one more volunteer to play from at Home on the Sound. And hopefully continuing ed will, have to field a team. And we have quite a few other teams, right? Only one more.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay. Yes?
Very quick. Attorney General Schneiderman will be here. Attorney General Schneiderman will be here Tuesday, October 14th at the Mamaroneck High School, McLean Auditorium, 7:30, free to all the community. It's a very important event. Please come if you can.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes.
Yeah, I'm Blythe Hamer, Executive Director of the Center for Continuing Education. Classes start next week. If anyone doesn't have a brochure, I have one right here.
Anything else? Okay. Again, welcome. Before we get to our program, though, we're going to look into a little Larchmont history via Jeff Megan and his tidbits.
Well, Larchmont tri-community.
What community?
Thank you very much. It's been a while since I've given a tidbit because we have such excellent programs. And I have to be very quick today. There are two birthdays. One is 125, right? Everybody's talking about 125. And Larchmont, you'll hear more about that. And what other birthday do we have coming up? September 23rd. Carolyn, you sat next to me, you peeked. Anybody know? Jane Eady, of course, from the town of Mamaroneck, yes? Yeah, right, okay. We know where Jane's heading. It is the 355th birthday of the town of Mamaroneck on September 23rd, okay? I have here a proclamation of the 300th, signed by the then Village of Mamaroneck mayor. Nobody will get this. No, he was never the mayor of Mamaroneck. Joe D'Alfonso, okay? Who was the mayor of the Village of Larchmont? This is 1961, the 300th anniversary. No, not Maury Neuer. That's another one of my quizzes. It was John B. Coffinberry. Okay, the mayor. I knew his daughter was a friend of my sister's. All right, who was the supervisor for the town of Mamaroneck? He was a man of some renown. Nope, no, not Mandy. He became a Supreme Court judge, and when he died, he had no children. When he quiet. This is a hint. When he died, he left over $700,000 to the Larchmont Library and over $700,000 to the Mamaroneck Library. George D. Burchell, that's correct. Okay. How many CVS's in our territory? Huh? How many? Come on, this is quick. 5. How many Dunkin' Donuts? 4. Hess. The Hess station. Okay. Who was the only person, Jane, don't answer this. Who was the only person to be both a mayor of Larchmont and supervisor of the town of Mamaroneck, but not simultaneously? All right, Jane. There you go. Who was the only father-daughter mayor of Larchmont? Yeah, all right. Yeah, Maury Neuer and Liz Feld. Where is Bayan Island and how did it get its name? Bayan Island. Now, those of you in Larchmont are getting instructed here. Liz Licio, the chairman of community. There you go, formerly Hispanic. That's correct, believe it or not. But where is it? It's somewhere way off outside of Larchmont, right? It's in the middle of Van Ammerich Mill Pond. All right, our geography is marked by two ponds. What are they? Van Ammerich, and what's the other one at the other end? Premium Mill Pond. Okay. How many elected officials are there, not including the town of Rye? Just take a guess. 46. 46. If you include the town of Rye, it's 56. What's the name of the park at the bottom of Oak and Willow? Woodbine Park. There you go. What is the real name of Turtle Park? Very good. The mayor's. All right. She's way ahead of you. What was the sports facility located on the present site of McDonald's? Miniature golf. Who was the Larchmont writer who wrote The Year Without a Santa Claus? Phyllis McGinley. All right. What Mamaroneck writer wrote The snow falls and covers the land like God's protecting hand by pulling a snow-white blanket over all the land when winter comes? No. Presently, our poet laureate in Mamaroneck, Mary Louise Cox. She wrote it in the 5th grade. What structure stood at the park at the corner of Palmer and Weaver? A chapel, yeah. No, it was a church. A Methodist chapel. What local entity recently changed its first name to Community? Hispanic Resource Center. Which outfit had its opening last week? There. And last but not least, who was last week's guest on Local Live? Tiffany Smith. Twice in 1 week she's on TV. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Sorry. Whoops. Right. And now, there are some seats over here in the corner. Over here. There are seats back here. There's some seats back here. And now I'm going to turn the program over to Janet DeMacy. Hello, is it on? Yes, it's just a lot of noise. Sorry.
Folks, hello. Why don't you get your chairs from up here? Hello? Can you hear me? It's on? Okay. Let's get some more chairs to the people. What a great turnout. Hello, everyone. Okay. Come on in, folks, please. Get your seats. Hello? Order, please. Order. Good. Thank you so much. What a wonderful crowd. I guess you really did have a good summer. Okay. We have some great panelists here, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about them. The first one is Carolyn Fugere. She is the head of the chamber, and she gave me a little bit of bio about her. And she has just moved to this area about a year ago. And she is now the head of Julie B. Fee Sotheby's International, a firm I work for. So we'll give her a little plug. And she's been doing a great job. Prior to moving here, she actually headed some brokerage firms in Connecticut, Berkshire County, Litchfield County, and she's been in the real estate business for 15 years and earned a fine reputation for bringing wonderful people to the firm and doing great and best customer experience, and we're very pleased to have her here. Since being here, she came in and she headed the chambers. They needed a head, and so she took on that job. She's served on several boards. She is now at the Mamaroneck Chamber, the Larchmont Historical Society, and she has organized events for My Sister's Place and CT Challenge. She's raised over $50,000 for them in the short time that she's been involved. Oh, this is much better. I can hear myself. So Carolyn will speak first as the head of the chamber, and then we'll have Tiffany and then Ann. So Carolyn, would you like to say something?
Sure. I'm going to put it in here, I guess. Okay. Everybody can hear me. Good. So first of all, thank you very much for having the chamber here and the rest of us at this panel. We appreciate the opportunity to have an audience to speak to about all the things that we're trying to accomplish, because obviously I know this group knows what it takes to accomplish things, and that you all work together as nonprofits to do that. I think it's a really wonderful thing, and I was not aware of this organization until Janet told me about it. So thank you. Like Janet said, I'm very new to town. I'm a total newbie. I just came here about a year ago. And one of the first things you do when you either open a new business in town or you take over a company in a new market, which I've had to do a number of times, is you join the local chamber. You join every organization really that you can find so that you become entrenched in the community. So that's what I did. And I've had some experience working with small business associations and different philanthropic efforts, because in the real estate business, the other piece of what we're trying to do is build up the community in which that we're selling homes. So I have a special interest in that. When I went to the first Larchmont Chamber meeting, I came across a few people who I could tell were very passionate about the community and trying to do something great. I think the chamber was like 3 people at the time. And these 3 people were there trying to get a group together and accomplish some things. But, I have to admit, there was a big audience that it was mostly a complaint department and a lot of people unhappy about a lot of things. And I didn't see anything quite like it. And I was actually really surprised that people seemed so down on Larchmont, because when I told all of my friends and family and colleagues that I got relocated to Larchmont, they acted like I was going to Shangri-La. Like, it was unbelievable. Oh my gosh, Larchmont, it's incredible. And so I said, this is interesting. It was a disconnect for me. So I went to another meeting and saw a little bit of the same, but knowing that Larchmont was a great brand and had great potential, I thought, let me see if I could help out just based on doing this in some other communities. I've also run businesses in 2 communities that had streetscape projects. So we know that. I've done that twice in Great Barrington, Mass, and then in Litchfield, Connecticut. So I know what that's like for the local businesses trying to do their business when all of that's going on. So the very nice folks at the chamber asked me to help out, and I said, sure, I would. And they said, well, you pretty much just have to be president if you want to help out. I said, oh, okay. What did I get myself into? So that's a little bit of the background. And I guess what I want to just quickly share with you, because I don't want to go on too long, we have a lot of people to speak, are our goals and then a little bit of a progress report. So the first goal was to build our membership. We were at around 38 member businesses when I joined back in November. And just this week, we signed our 100th member. Yay. And actually, it'll be 101 today, a new business that just came into town on East Street, and I'm bad at, I can't remember the name of them, Elephant something, a little treasure shop on East Avenue. And they came into my office yesterday saying they want to join, so it'll be 101. So that's great. The other piece, though, of building membership, and that's great that we've been able to get all these people to get on board, is to create a sense of community and cooperation among these businesses. And I think an analogy that I could give you that I think some of you understand, a lot of people know a little bit about the real estate business. I manage an office. I have about 80 independent contractors that work in Sotheby's International Realty. And they are each their own small business. They have to compete with each other for their livelihood on a daily basis. But at the same time, they are all working under the same brand. And they are supporting the same brand. And that same brand sort of holds it together. And I really view small business economies, small towns like Larchmont in a very similar way. You have a lot of independent business owners that really have to work together under that great Larchmont brand. And to me, you know, the Sotheby's brand's like 270 years old, and we know the Larchmont brand is now 125 years old today, which is my birthday today, by the way. So we share a birthday. I don't know how I wasn't on the agenda for that. But, you know, it is a tremendous brand, Larchmont, and maybe, you know, some of us don't realize it, you know, when you're in it, but our reputation outside of Larchmont is actually quite remarkable. So, yeah, so I think, you know, that's one of the things is getting the group together to really have that synergy to maximize the opportunities that, you know, Larchmont has to offer. The other goal is introducing more people to our business district and the great businesses that we have now, the many that have joined our town over the last few months. You know, some of that new membership are actually new businesses opening in town. So bringing people into the business district to experience it. In a couple ways we've done that so far. We had the Taste of Larchmont. We brought over 300 people into town, and about 70% of them were from outside of Larchmont, which was great. So, and even the people that came that were from Larchmont had gone to restaurants that they had never stepped foot into before. So again, getting them to introduce them to something new and to have that experience, and now they'll want to come back. Another effort, which you might have heard about, is the date night in Larchmont. And that was just another thing to try to introduce as many people as possible, get them to walk around town and stroll into a shop, maybe in a day where it's a little less intimidated. You know, that's all everybody's doing is walking around and strolling into shops. So it's okay. You're not going in there and making a big purchase. You can just come and explore. We offered incentives to people who visited more than, 5 places. So if you visit 5 places, you're entered to win a prize. You know, everything geared toward trying to get people to check out what is there. And then obviously we have some great holiday plans in the works, and you know, this is just one piece of what the Chamber's trying to do in the business front. The last is introducing new businesses to the community, making it somewhere where people want to have, you know, that inkling to open up a business here. And actually, this is something we're working on a lot with Tiffany and Amy and the Love Larchmont group, and we're going to talk about a survey that's helping us do that job. And to me, it's something very easy to sell. I do well when I have a great product to sell, and Larchmont to me is just a no-brainer. And last is working with the local government and other associations like yourself to really create the optimal environment for these businesses to thrive. And, you know, sometimes that's going to take robust dialogue and, you know, pushing and pushing. We've been doing pushing. We're very pushy. We're very pushy. But I think, you know, we all have the same goal, and it's great to have a nice team that, you know, I've come to know recently to work toward this. So happy to answer any questions after, but, you know, thank you again very much for having me.
I'll just thank Carolyn. Now, I have here, let's get that. Okay. Well, we thank Carolyn, and now we're going to hear from Tiffany. Now, Tiffany is also from Connecticut. She came here about 8 years ago with her husband, Tom, and she have 3 boys, 3 wonderful boys, 5 and 2? 7 and 2. And she got here this morning. I said, will you be able to get up here at 7:30? She was so happy to get out of the house. Okay. Well, she's now on the PTA at Chatsworth School. She's involved with St. Augustine's, and you're also, you're on, another? And she got so involved with the junior league. That's how I actually met her. I was a junior at the time. Well, anyway, what she said to me is what I will give you. This is the quote. She said that she felt it was time to give back to Larchmont. This whole process of improving the business district started with a small conversation with Amy Sullivan, co-founder, and some friends. We had heard the chatter for years and decided to take matters into our own hands. Instead of complaining, let's do something. So they did a survey, and she's going to tell you all about it, and I have some copies here, which I will give out when she speaks. Welcome, Tiffany.
Thank you. Yes, I was very excited to get out of the house this morning. My husband got a taste of my reality. So, first of all, Amy apologizes that she can't be here. Amy actually has 5 children, so she is getting all 5 of them out of the house. So, like Janet said, this all came together after we were invited to a Chamber of Commerce meeting. Amy and I had seen a post that was on Facebook, and somebody was talking about Designer One and Wendy G closing, and felt that those were 2 stores that have been here for 20 plus years, and what were we going to do without these 2 stores? So we were invited by a member of the chamber to come to the Chamber of Commerce meeting, and we went in and we sat and we listened and we chatted with everybody. And Amy and I walked away from the meeting feeling that we truly needed to do something. So what we did was we invited a bunch of women, about 15 of us, to Amy's house, and we sat down and we had a really positive conversation. And there was no negativity in that conversation whatsoever. And what we decided to do was come up with a survey. So one of the women that is involved with our group, this is what she does for a living. She makes surveys. She works for Mars Corporation, and she puts out surveys to hundreds and thousands of individuals. So we all came together and we brainstormed and we put this survey together. So we put this survey out not really knowing how many responses we were going to get. Carrie had said to us, be prepared, you're only going to get about 125, maybe 150 responses. We got over 1,300 responses. And that is only 1,300 completely finished responses. We actually got over 2,000 responses from this survey. So we were overwhelmed with the number. So we have a Facebook group. It's a closed group, but anyone is actually welcome to join. That's called Love Larchmont. That has 2,000 members. 2,000 members. And of these members, we have incredible dialogue that goes back and forth all the time. We're really trying to promote the new businesses that are in town, and we're also trying to promote the businesses that have been here in town. So every week we take one business and we're really promoting it. We have a lot of people in the stores and on the ground and trying to figure out what is best for Larchmont. And I know some of you have the survey here. I can definitely email it to those who have not received it. But we have emailed this survey to the landlords, to the real estate agents who have empty storefronts right now, and to businesses that we feel like would really fit here in town. In this survey, 85% of the people that filled this out had children. Of that 85%, 65 of them had children under the age of 8 years old. In Larchmont and Mamaroneck this year, there are 155 new families, not children, families that are new to the district. Our towns are changing, and there are lots of children coming into our town. And from what we've seen in the survey, lots of family-friendly restaurants and shopping are asked for in the survey. One of the number 1 stores that is asked to open is a sports store. And lots of people say, well, the sports store was already here, and it left. I think that that closed when I moved here 8 years ago. I think that people have a different view of what they want in stores now. I know that back then the internet was phenomenal, although it is still today. But I think a lot of people were shopping in the store, window shopping, and then going to purchase things on the internet. Now people want to shop locally and they want to stay in their town. You know, something that we're doing right now is, I don't know if you've seen these little guys on cars. We're selling them for $5, and the money is going to the Larchmont Beautification Committee to help with the streetscape for the new holiday decor and for flowers and different things that the Beautification Committee might need. But our real goal for this is for you to see this while you're on your way to Target to pick up that toaster and turn around and realize that they have it at Foley's. And I've caught myself doing that. You know, we want people to really think. We have amazing stores in this town, and we want people to stay in this town. We don't want them to go anywhere. We're excited about new businesses that are opening, and like Carolyn said, you know, they have a lot of new membership to their chamber. I feel, and I think Carolyn can agree with me on this, is that we've bonded with the merchants that are out there, and they realize how hard we are working to help them. And I think that everybody is now on the same page, whereas before, you know, there was a little tension there. I'm not really seeing that as much anymore. I think everybody has a mutual respect for everyone, and everyone is on the exact same page as to what Larchmont needs. So I'll pass it on to Justin, I think, is next. But I will answer any questions that anyone may have, and if you guys need this, I can email it.
Basically, I was going to have Ann McAndrews introduce Justin because they just went through a little bit of a search, and she has a lot more information about him than I can give you now. So Ann, as you all may know, is the mayor of Larchmont, and she's been mayor now. This is her 4th year, and before that she was for 8 years, 10 years. And she didn't want to give me any information about her children because there's so many of them, but she was past president of the League of Women Voters, and she's been involved in this community since she moved here, which was about 30-something years ago. Welcome.
And this was the lady, one of the very first people I met, right? She was membership chair of the League of Women Voters. Good morning. I have 2 purposes here this morning. The second one is to introduce our new village administrator. But first I wanted to just address a few of the comments that I just want to comment on a couple of the things that have been said already. Okay, how's that? Is that better? Okay, thank you. The purpose of the Village of Larchmont is for the provision of services. That's number one. What does the Village of Larchmont provide? Provides police, fire, DPW, which is very important for the maintenance of our roads and our snow removal. And also, Larchmont has its own water department. We are also involved in the maintenance of certain codes. Property maintenance, for example, is a very important code provision that we have. And we also, just to backtrack a little, we have command of the maintenance of many of our roads. Not all of them. Some are state. Boston Post Road, for example, the maintenance of Boston Post Road is a state responsibility. Just to tell you what all this means to everybody in terms of dollars and cents is that this year the village has gone from about $125,000 to $150,000 worth of street maintenance to $463,000 worth of street maintenance. And so if you say, well, they haven't come to my road yet, well, you're right, and an awful lot more has to be done with the infrastructure of our village. So the village is very concerned with streets, sidewalks, and everything else that goes underneath it, and the maintenance of everything that goes above it. Our building department is not in control of the rules and regulations. The building department is under the rules and regulations of the state of New York. And also, when you have new businesses, such as restaurants, that increases the number of agencies involved. You have the Department of Health, as you can imagine, having a whole other set of rules. And then for things like different agricultural products. We have the State Department of Agriculture involved, believe it or not, in the opening of a new store in the village of Larchmont. So what you have for whenever you have change is a whole bunch of additional rules and regulations that people did not come into these storefronts expecting. And that means it takes a little longer to open them. It takes longer to open a new a grocery store. It takes longer to open a new restaurant. It takes longer to open up everything when you're talking about older buildings. It's just the way it is. So I just wanted to have people get some sense of what the responsibilities of the village of Larchmont have been. And now I'm going to just have a few words about our streetscape. It's scheduled to be completed by the end of October. If you're interested in how much all of this cost, we're talking about in the area of $2.5 million. We've had a grant from the feds and New York State of a little more than $800,000, which means that that this project has been regulated by the State Department of Transportation, and that has been a very, very difficult task. We're under the same rules and regulations as we would be building a bridge over an interstate. Every little change has to go to the state to be approved, and it has been a very, very difficult task. I've joked that if this were a grant for $100,000, I would have booted it a long time ago, but $800,000 is just entirely too much money. The sidewalks are about 98% done. The curbing's about 99% done. We have to realign some of our new streetlights we made a change. We changed them to LEDs that are going to be less bright than some others in the community. We specified that a couple of months ago. We're very excited about this. They will also be shielded from any intrusion to our second-story residence along Palmer Avenue and Chatsworth. So we have been very, very careful about how we've been getting this project done. And now we'll get back to the old chestnut. Why didn't you bury the wires? And believe me, I would have. I think on my tombstone it's going to say, she tried. You know, very, very expensive, and Con Ed doesn't want to do it. It's a lot more trouble for them to maintain the service. When you're talking to somebody who comes in a fleece jacket, and on the fleece jacket is telephone wires on poles, you know that it's going to be difficult to get them to bury the wires. And then, as it turned out, during the project, we discovered that we hit bedrock. We hit bedrock in more than 50% of the area, probably up to 70% of the area is bedrock at 18 inches and below. So everything that we had to put in, we had to auger in, and that includes all those over 50 new street lamps that I think you will enjoy seeing. I really wish we could have had those poles and wires disappear, but on top of that $2.5 million cost, it would have been extraordinarily more expensive to bury them. We have found that we've had a significant increase in the cost just putting in those, the lamp posts, because they had to be bound in with rods and all sorts of special super duper things. We had to get another set of engineers in to tell us how to do it, and they're over 15 feet high, and those fixtures weigh over 70 pounds, and every time you put a banner on it, we had to figure out the impact of the wind on them. Believe it or not, it got to be incredibly difficult, very, very difficult to do. But we had a mission in mind that we are going to beautify this business area that sorely needs it. So that is what the village has been doing to improve the Palmer Avenue Business District. And the trees will be put in later in the fall. Now's not the day to talk about it, but it certainly has been very warm, and these trees are to be planted a little later in the fall, but it will be done by the end of October. That's my first, the first thing I wanted to say. The second thing is something that I take great pleasure in, and that's introducing our new village administrator, Justin Datino. As you may know, we were the last jurisdiction in the county of Westchester to have a village administrator. And boy, believe me, it's been a tremendous help to me doing my job. The village administrator handles the day-to-day operations of what, in the village's case, is over a $20 million operation, over 100 employees. I'll let Justin give you some of the details. My job is to give you Justin's details, and that is that he is a Westchester boy. He's from Elmsford, attended Westchester Community College, and we had the president here last year. And I think Justin is a wonderful example of what and wonderful asset Westchester Community College is. Because while at Westchester Community and while having a job on the side of running a tow truck, he discovered he really had an affinity for local government, went up to the University of Albany, and got a joint bachelor and master's in public administration degrees from the Rockefeller Institute. He was immediately hired by a rival of ours, that's the town village of Scarsdale, as the assistant to their manager. Scarsdale has a manager, an assistant to the manager, and 3 deputy managers. Well, and we had nothing. We all had me. So in competition with Scarsdale, we were able to get Justin, who not only became the assistant to the manager, but quickly rose to the role of deputy superintendent of public works. He also serves on the Elmsford zoning board, and so that gives him a tremendous background not only of trucks, because believe me, trucks are really important to a small village, all the way to the requirements under our zoning code. And he has been a tremendous help to me personally and a great asset to the village as a whole. And it's a great pleasure that I introduce Justin Datino to you.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you everyone for having me this morning. As the Mayor said, I was born and raised in Westchester County in Elmsford, New York, and upon completing my master's, worked for Scarsdale for 8 years and learned a tremendous amount there. Again, at Scarsdale, they've had the manager form of government for about 100 years. And again, you didn't realize necessarily, I didn't necessarily realize when I was there everything that I was learning. But having the benefit of that knowledge when I arrived to Larchmont in June of this year, I was like, oh, gee, so that's what that policy's for. And, oh, that's why they did that. And that's what that form really helped with. So, you know, coming into Larchmont, it's been 3 months now, and I actually just recently had my first staff meeting with all the department heads, again, because part of my role is going to be to unify the different departments in the village government, and so that we make sure that we're not acting as individual islands, but as one cohesive group, an organization that really is meeting the needs of the village in the best manner it can, and not overlapping its services or, you know, working in a silo effect necessarily, but keeping those lines of communications across all the departments so that we can better respond to the needs and the changing needs of the community. More specifically of what I'm doing and planning on doing with my role in the village, personnel is the single largest cost center in the village budget, and it's one of the most significant assets of the village. The department heads in the village of Larchmont are very intelligent, they're very competent, and they're very dedicated to their job. And I believe that the staff is equally as dedicated and competent. And what my role will be is ensure that the department heads are receiving the best training that they can, that they're participating in other professional organizations and networks so that they're learning the most up-to-date skills and tools and technologies to improve upon their job and the delivery of services, and that they can be the best managers for their departments as they can. Getting into some policies and procedures again, looking at what I've known to work well in other jurisdictions, specifically Scarsdale, but again, I'm a member of a professional organization, and we meet monthly, similar to the group here, and we discuss various issues and what's working, what's not working. I'll work to improve those policies and procedures and implement them into the village government so that, again, sometimes things can happen without somebody having to think about it. If somebody leaves, there's a mechanism for replacing them. There's ways of managing staff time and purchasing ways that we can improve basically any aspect of the village government. Things are working well, but I think they can work better. Some other issues as we get into the budget process will be is just incorporating myself into that process and where the village board wants to go in terms of their outlook for the next year, and developing a very specific and detailed capital plan and capital budget. I believe that will help future boards and future board members see where the village has come from and where we need to go. What projects we've deferred upon and what projects can no longer wait. And having a clear plan will help anyone coming on the board, or even someone that's been on the board a few years or as long as they have been. So there's a number of moving parts to the village government. I've had the opportunity and the benefit of the village board being very helpful and informative, as well as the staff members and department heads, and bringing me up to speed and giving me the opportunity to weigh in and take value in my decisions and my recommendations. And I look forward to working with everyone here further. And if there's any issues or questions or just want to chat, my door is always open. And of course, email is the thing now, and I'm struggling to keep up with the many emails, but I'll do my best. If you send me something, I'll get it right out to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'll ask for questions. I'm asking for questions from the group now. Please.
It occurs to me that Scarsdale is a town village, and Larchmont Mamaroneck is a town, two villages, and that itself is an oversimplification. So I'm wondering if this short time you've been here, you've seen any further opportunities for integration of services in this community.
Did everyone hear the question, or should I repeat it? Okay, yes. Okay. He wants to know if there's any ways to integrate, what they're doing in Scarsdale here. No, sorry. The consolidation, yes.
Yeah. So the question more specifically was the village of Scarsdale is recognized and is incorporated as a town village, and the town of Mamaroneck, village of Mamaroneck, and village of Larchmont are three independent jurisdictions, and if there's any opportunity to consolidate services in line with what has happened in Scarsdale over the years. It's not quite that simple. The town village of Scarsdale Scarsdale was incorporated as a town way back in the 1700s, probably about the same time the town of Mamaroneck was. It was only about 1912 or about in the early 1900s that the town was incorporated also as a village, and that was to actually prevent annexation by the city of White Plains of one of the neighborhoods. So the purpose of that town village incorporation was not so much a consolidation of services over 100 years ago. But again, more specifically to the question, I see a lot of shared services in place already. The Joint Sanitation Commission is probably a great example of that shared service between the town of Mamaroneck and the village of Larchmont. And there's a number of informal shared services that happen every day. The communities work together on issues such as sanitary issues with regard to Westchester County and higher levels of government. We'll work together to solve a solution, and we're going to be working together that the solution and the cost of that will be spread evenly and equitably amongst the two communities, town of Mamaroneck and village of Mamaroneck, as well as the city of New Rochelle and the village of Pelham Manor. But in a sense that we didn't need anything more than common sense to say if we have to go solve the same problem together, if we have to solve the problem, we might as well solve it together and realize the equity of scale, economies of scale at that sense. We back each other up with our public safety departments, police and fire regularly, and as well as the DPW. The town has been most helpful in helping the village along the way. We've been absent a full-time mechanic for some time because of an injury and illness. But on the other side, the village has been there to share equipment as necessary, and in the ways that we can help the town, we always offer our services. So there's a number of things in place now. I think the administrations will always consider new opportunities, but there are numerous shared services that may go unrecognized, except if you're doing it every day.
If I could just add I'll give you a good example. Our paving contract was the town, the village of Mamaroneck, and the village of Larchmont all went together and went out to bid together in order to get the best price. And that is something that we do all the time. We have different jurisdictions, not overlapping jurisdictions. I think that's something that people think that there's two things going on at once. No, we're sort of three individual units working together most of the time.
Just one interesting note on Scarsdale, and I'll pass it on. When I first got involved with the chamber here, I reached out to their chamber president, and they had gone through a similar revitalization process a few years earlier, and they had done a very extensive survey that they spent a lot of money on, so we're so grateful for this survey. Yes, it was phenomenal, and that was really helpful to us, and we do collaborate a lot with the Scarsdale Chamber as well, so they've been helpful in that sense. But more questions? I do.
She wants the question. They want
Oh, she's wondering about our connection with the Mamaroneck Chamber as well. And I'm a member of the Mamaroneck Chamber. I go to most meetings and we share information. They've actually promoted a few of our events, and we're trying to promote theirs. We try to schedule things. We're going to have a joint meeting. I think we're planning in November, because I think the two groups used to be united and then they got divided. They got like divorced or something. So we're making up and coming together again, and I think that's going to be a great thing. So good question.
Okay, Bob.
I don't have a speaker here. I had a question. First of all, I think this is terrific, and I think the revitalization chamber is terrific. Jurisdictionally, with Justin on board, and I'm delighted that he's here, does that mean that we've got a form of government like the city of Rye, where you have a city manager that basically runs everything, and the Board of Trustees sits back and ratifies? Or is this one where he's doing the work, perhaps, but the final authority resides with the Board of Trustees? I guess, to be cynical, I'm asking Ann, who's responsible?
You can hold on to the mic. The buck stops here. We specifically gave Justin the title of village administrator. That means he is responsible to the Board of Trustees, the mayor and the Board of Trustees, the elected officials of the village. He is the chief operations officer, and I am the chief executive, to use the secular term. And it's something that he understands that his actions are upon the consent of the Board of Trustees. At the same time, of course, any operations officer has a great deal of responsibility, and with that comes a great deal of authority as to the day-to-day management of the corporation. As I said before, we have $20 million in operation, and that's a big job. And for day-to-day operations, it is under his responsibility. And I should tell you that one of the very first things I and the board did when I first became mayor was to hire a management consultant. His name is Jerry Fiala, as very well known in the state as being the head of the State Managers Association. And we said, look at the day-to-day operation of the village of Larchmont, and how can we do better, and where do the problems lie? And he did a fabulous report, and the first the last thing he said is, before you read any of the recommendations, the number one recommendation is to hire someone that can do the day-to-day management to take care of the management of our corporation. So I hope that answers your question, but we are still run by the electorate.
Elaine, it's going to be easier for you to ask the question.
I'm going to ask the question that a lot of people have asked of me, and that is, since there are codes about the size and type of signs, for example, that are able to be used around the village, what about any kind of code that exists on the look of a store that is vacated? Does the village have any kind of jurisdiction over requiring the stores within its borders to have a certain look if someone vacates a store?
Not specifically about a vacancy, but we do have a property maintenance statute that we have used to, I think, a pretty decent result. As of yesterday, the Five and Dime has finally started on renovating its facade. And I'll give you a quick example of what that means. We brought the landlord in on several occasions. The landlord of the Five and Dime bought that property a little more than 2 years ago. So he's not responsible for it being empty and in the state that it has been in for the period of time that it has actually been vacant. He bought the vacancy. We brought him in on several occasions and really put a great deal of pressure on him to get something going. He got it going very slowly, but he has invested more. We think around $200,000 in the structure already, in the interior, that needed a great deal of work to bring it up to all those state and especially the fire codes that we were so concerned about. Then, since he had an open permit for work, you can't really have a property maintenance statute violation on saying, hey, your property doesn't look so hot. And he says, I have an open permit. That permit expired in July. We immediately said, you have to do something with the property, which means a lot of work on the front. It needs new footings on the front. That's why the sidewalk wasn't completed. It is now his responsibility to finish off the sidewalk. As of yesterday, we have given him a very short-term permit so we can keep him working. He has started on the facade work. What that means is that he's going to build out so he can put in new footings, a new facade, and finish off the sidewalk. Our building maintenance statute meant that we sent him a letter saying, please do something in the next 3 or 4 days, or we will file violations. Well, nothing happened in 3 or 4 days, and so we, under the state law and under our own code, sent him the violation of a property maintenance. Unfortunately, that law gives him 30 days. That 30 days is up. Today is Tuesday, it's up Thursday, so he started Monday. That is a very weak tool that we have presently. And it's something that I think that we could work on as far as zeroing in on the condition of vacant stores. I think that's room for a statute. It would be a new law for the village of Larchmont, which takes time to pass, by the way. But there is definitely an opportunity for that. I will tell you that he did paint the front. When we put him down, sat him down, we put a gun on the table and said, you have to do something. But it has taken a long time. He did have an open permit. There was no work being done under the open permit. The permit ended. As soon as we could, we got the violation out. And now something has started to happen.
Anne had said that the building permit had expired in July, and our group came around in June. It wasn't very hard for me to find out who the owner of the building was, so I called him. Yeah. So I called him, and I'm not the only one that called him. So our group has put a lot of pressure on this owner. He has the survey. He knows what stores are needed to come into this village. You know, when I spoke with him, I've spoken with him multiple times. I think he understands the pressure that is now under him. He needs to understand that this needs to be done. And now he understands that there's 2,000 people who are not happy with the way that his building looks. And yes, I completely agree. I think that the law needs to be rewritten, but I also think that the pressure of the public that is now on him is pushing him a little bit harder than he probably would have been pushed in the past.
Well, okay, I'm from Rye, so I appreciate your tolerating me being here. I think it's great what you've done with the Love Larchmont, and you mentioned in your talk, Tiffany, that you were expecting a couple hundred responses. Now, how exactly was that sent out? I'd just be interested because we in Rye have a very similar problem. I'm with the Chamber of Commerce in Rye, and I was sent here to try to find out what we could learn. So anything you could give us would be really helpful.
Well, I'll just do it quickly. You know, it's funny. A reporter from Larchmont, from Rye, came to Amy and I and said, "You know, we have all these vacant stores." And I said, "How many do you have?" And she said, 7. And I kind of looked at her like, "That's great." I said, "Why don't you come to Larchmont?" Just quickly, how we got the survey out is we sent it out on email. Linda Larch posted it on her blog, and then it was word of mouth. And honestly, I know there's a large demographic that we didn't even touch. So social media really helped with that.
Okay, this side of the room, Jane. We'll get there.
I know I'm naive, but I really wanted to come to this meeting because I wanted to find out how we could get new businesses into the village. And I will tell you that I moved here in 1971, and my husband said to me, this is going to be, I mean, he had an opinion on everything. He started with a list before we had moved into the thing, and I said, "What are you doing?" He said, "The trees on Larchmont Avenue are not being taken care of well." But anyway, what he said immediately was, you've lost 1/4 of your population because it's the sound. You know, you don't have people coming in from the east. And we have 2 business areas. We have the Post Road and we have Palmer Avenue. So there is a lot of spread that has to be taken care of. Now, I want to know what we're going to do about having landlords raise the rent so that people who are on the fence because we're not shopping there can't possibly do it. And what do the landlords get from going out of, you know, raising the rents and having people quit and nobody coming back in? I don't understand. And hopefully we can do something about it.
I think a lot of people want an answer to that. Okay, Tiffany.
That was one of the biggest questions that we did face. I think this is going to come to a very big shock to most of you, but we pulled the comps on the rents from Bronxville, from Scarsdale, from Rye, and from Larchmont, and Larchmont is the lowest rent. It's mind-blowing, I know. Everyone wants to blame the rent and the landlords for raising the rent as to why the stores go out. That's not the case. What we're finding is we have the wrong mix of stores. We have great stores that are here now, and they are thriving. I know that there are some business owners that are behind me, and they have had the best business on record this past summer. This has been the best summer that they've had. And I truly, truly believe it's because of our group, and it's because of the new formed Chamber of Commerce. With our survey, we have two committees. We have a push committee and we have a pull committee. The pull committee is out there with the survey, speaking to landlords, speaking to real estate agents, speaking to businesses that could possibly come into our town. This is free. This costs thousands of dollars for people to put together, and we are giving it to them for free. So now that we know the right mix of stores, what our committees are doing is they're going out there and they're finding out, you know, in different towns like Rye and Scarsdale, in Bronxville for that matter, what the people are actually shopping for in the different stores. So now that we have this wealth of information here, we can go out and we can say, hey, we're Larchmont. This is what we need. This is what we want.
Okay. Hi. Hi, I'm Judy Graham. Hi. Hi, Larchmonters. I own Pink on Palmer and Clutch with my daughter, who's behind me. First of all, Tiffany and Amy, who just walked in, where are you, Amy? There you are like a little tsunami. They came in, strollers, kids, and just took this project on and did an amazing job. And something that we really lacked, which was, I mean, the businesses, I think, have tried very hard to get something going. But it sounds a little wah, wah, wah. Shop locally when it's your shop. What we really needed was a force behind us. And whether that force happened or not, I mean, if residents didn't care about shopping locally, then we pack our bags in our tent and move on. But they do care. And I think that, Tiffany and Amy and all 2,000 on Facebook have shown that. Certainly Carolyn and the Chamber have tried very hard to get some things moving in the business district. I guess my question is to the village, what exactly are they doing to bring in businesses? I know we've talked about the idea of having some sort of brochure. I get emails from realtors in Scarsdale, Bronxville, saying we got a great spot, we'd love to have you come, here's the demographics of our village, why don't you think about opening here? So I think that we need to be more proactive in seeking some of these. I know Tiffany, she's been knocking on people's doors, but I think it would be and she has. I mean, whenever she gets a salad over here in Mamaroneck, she's telling the people, think about opening in Larchmont too. So I think we're doing a lot on that end. I'd like to find out what we can do on the government side to encourage businesses to come in. So that would be my question today.
Here we go. Good morning again. One of the reasons why I started with what the role of the village of Larchmont is the provision of services and the provision of the best possible services, so as to make it, an attractive place to come in. As to getting in touch with the commercial entities to come on in, I remember, and Janet, you may remember this, we had lunch about a year and a half, 2 years ago, and I said, Janet, who is the commercial real estate broker for the village of Larchmont? Who goes and gets to the landlords and tells them what is available and gets it available? She said, no one. None of the brokerages in the village were involved at all in selling the commercial space. And I frankly was shocked. She told me, and Janet, and I think you'll back me up on this, is that it was the individual landlords. Now, who are the individual landlords? They are 1, 2, 3, 4 Palmer Avenue, LLA, LLB, LLC, LLD. They're all corporate entities, of course. And how do we get to the landlords? How do we find the individual to talk to? Well, I looked at tax records and I looked at the water records, and I've given that information to the Chamber of Commerce and to Tiffany, the listing of all the corporate owners, addresses that we had, many of them being managing agents in Manhattan. And then what would have to happen then, and what Tiffany's and Amy have done, is actually gotten, called the number, said we have to talk to somebody. That's how we got in touch with an actual name of a live body that owns the Five and Dime. Now, what is the role of government going forward in that endeavor? I think the role of government is somewhat limited in getting new businesses. I've joked that we are not the People's Republic of Larchmont. We cannot have a planned economy here. We cannot say we want a nail salon here or some other service, or like Rye, no more banks downtown. They actually have a law about that. It does. Yes, you do. And okay, what is our role again? Is to make every piece of information that we have available that we can to have private enterprise go and bring more people in. Now, as for things like a brochure, et cetera, there used to be a welcome brochure, but it was for residents. And maybe this would be a good opportunity to present any new commercial entities with more local information. We could do this as part of, and we intend to, as part of our 125th anniversary, is to make this as open as possible, get this information out.
I have something to say too.
Okay. I'm just going to turn it around the table there.
As the mayor indicated, I mean, the village does not have a business improvement district. It does not have a on-staff PR person who can go out and advertise on behalf of the village and encourage businesses to come here and take people to lunch and show people different areas of the village. But what the village does have again is the ability to perform services on behalf of the residents and businesses. An example of that is the timely removal of snow from the business district, so that even after a significant snowstorm, businesses can open the next day without much inconvenience. The village manages its parking situation and lots, and will continue to do that in a more professional and reactive way to the changing parking needs of the community. And again, it's the inquiries. The village departments on a regular basis receive inquiries from residential property owners and seekers, potential owners, as well as commercial, and ensuring that staff can again answer these questions promptly and accurately. And even though it may impede their ability to do their task, which is in front of them, they are instructed, and they have always been encouraged to drop what they're doing to answer anybody who walks up to the building department window or calls on the phone. This includes real estate agents, just people speculating on different properties and storefronts, and they want to know, what can we do? Can we do it? How can we do it? And they may receive dozens of these phone calls a week. Some of them may have potential to be something, and some are just people going through a phone book, just curious. So again, it's an onerous task, but the village does react to these issues, and again, it's something that many people don't think about as a service in a way that you can help businesses, but the village does again perform these services daily, and often at the detriment to their task that's in front of them, but they find a way to get the job done and get the information out.
Just to comment on that, you know, we don't have a commercial realtor. I'm not a commercial realtor, but I am out there acting like a commercial realtor right now, trying to get these businesses in. Like Justin said, there is no PR person for the village. Again, that's us. We are all over the place. You know, you're starting to see posters, Instagram, Facebook. But just to, I had no idea that any of the commercial agencies were coming to you, because if you could pass them along to us, we'd be more than happy to take that on, because we're kind of doing it already. So the more the merrier.
Yeah, just one other piece on that. What we are doing is we are putting together an offering of, you know, what would entice somebody to have a business here. I have some video already before the streetscape project started, but it is almost impossible to get a good photo of any street right now. So it's just, we are trying to make this beautiful package, but it has been a challenge, and it's sort of one of those things when we are planning an event to invite commercial brokers from all over and other prospective business owners and wine them and dine them and walk them in the streets, but I'm thinking it's probably going to happen around the holidays when everything's lit up, and so that has been a limitation. So in the background, we have a full inventory, and the mayor did help out with, we have every landlord, every vacant space, we have rents, we have all of that information. Now we have the survey to say what you can put there, and we are putting together a brochure, very nice offering, website, video, everything. Would love money from the village. I would help it. It's expensive to do. And then absolutely inquiries, please send our way, because I think we're like the marketing people. We can sell it. Like I can sell a space to somebody, and so can Tiffany and Amy. So that's that. Okay.
Wow, we have some great people here. Marlene, please.
I just want to say one thing, and that is that I think one has to be quite realistic. We are a very small village. We have these two enormous business districts, which is really, in a way, more retail space than we can almost handle. So I think that creativity is the name of the game here.
Yes, I completely agree with that. And I think that the two business districts, it's very hard. But something that we've heard from the survey is that, the Boston Post Road side of the business district has Chatsworth Avenue School that is right there smack dab in the middle of it. The Palmer side does not have that. So when we looked at the survey, what was asked of us was that the Murray parents and the Central parents, they didn't have a place to go to in the morning. They were looking for a place where they can come with their children, with their strollers, for them to come into the area to shop and to be there. So there isn't that morning draw. What we're finding is that the Palmer side has a big draw in the evening with all the restaurants. So we want to make sure that we are having a draw, 24/7. And like, Marlene had said, it is very hard with the two different areas. But I think that, I think it's possible. It's happened in the past, and I don't see why it can't happen now.
Maybe some of the people here will be able to work with you and help. I see this. Okay. Go ahead, please.
Just go back to Justin for a second. Appreciating all you said about the role of the village and the people who are working in village government. I have to say the reputation of the village is not that it's friendly to businesses. When we came to start to look to open a store, we heard up and down the street the village is going to be difficult, all that. In reality, it wasn't. We didn't have a problem with it. But that's a reputation. So one thing you can do is hang out a business sign where particularly the building department and others are there to get the stores open, not to delay. Because I do think.
So it's not a question. You're giving advice of what they should do to show that it's a friendly village. Okay.
Daniel, thank you for that. You're 100% right. That is one of the biggest complaints we are hearing from businesses that we go out to. The first thing they say is, "Are you kidding, Larchmont?" And we're like, "Well, what do you mean?" They're like, "You guys have a reputation." And I think it's time we change that reputation. I think we need to roll out the red carpet for these businesses that want to come into town and welcome them with open arms. And I think that a lot of these businesses are not feeling that. And, I think they're comfortable talking to us about it. And so our job, as a group for Love Larchmont, is to let everybody know exactly what we're hearing and the feedback that we're getting. There are two new businesses that are opening, and they've come across different issues, but they don't feel like they're welcome. The only people that they truly feel welcomed by are the two groups here that are trying to promote them as much as they possibly can. But I think for those new businesses that are coming in, we should welcome them with open arms and make them a priority. Because when you come off that train and when you come off 95, Palmer Avenue is the first thing that you see when you come into this village. I'm going to tread lightly on that question. We met the beautification committee, and they had no idea about us. So I think that, we're seeing what we think answered and what we see that answered the survey was the younger generation. And after, I think social media is a big part of that, because in all honesty, when we started this group, we did not know this was going to happen as fast as it did. We had an initial meeting and thought to ourselves, we'll start this in September. We put that Facebook group up on a Thursday, and by Friday afternoon, we had 750 members. So to say that we were shocked and overwhelmed by the response, we're still shocked and overwhelmed by the response, to be quite honest with you. So yes, there's a larger group out there that we have to touch upon. Go ahead. No, that's not true, because the survey went out to thousands of people over email, over, different blogs. We had posters hanging up. It wasn't just Facebook that it went out on. It went out all over the place.
Yes, please.
Morning. My name's Greg O'Brien. I own Wine Tasters on Chatsworth Avenue. I am also the building owner on that property. I've been in business for 5 years, and this is actually a really positive story. I took a business that was not doing that well when I purchased it. It's a thriving business now, so it's not all doom and gloom in Larchmont. It's just a matter of, you know, of getting the empty storefronts occupied. So I know a lot of business owners in Larchmont that are thriving. So, you know, this is a positive thing. This is not all about negativity and what's the problem. At the end of the day, there are some issues. I approached the building inspector in the village of Larchmont. I have an easement that accesses the municipal lot in the back of my building. There's hundreds of residents that have no idea they can access Chatsworth Avenue from Went Avenue without having to walk all the way around Red Mango and Citibank. And it's not a very attractive easement, so I asked the building inspector and the clerk to help me to see what I can present to the village to offer up a portion of my property for public access. And I didn't get anywhere with that. I did not get anywhere, and I'm just being honest. I'm just being honest. I'm not criticizing. I'm not here to criticize anybody. I got absolutely no response. I went back several times and continue to get no response. So at the end of the day, I'm just throwing it out there. It's for all of us to contemplate. I want to get things done. Carolyn wants to get things done. The mayor wants to get things done. Justin does. We all do. So kind of have to work together. But it's a success story. It's a building project. It's not about, you know, woe is us. I think we have a great village. Customers love us. They want to support us. They ask me all the time, what can we do to help the village? There's a lot of support. So.
That's right, see?
I got the dry. I have a sign that says, please use my dry.
Terrific, okay. Okay, it's 5 after 9. Okay, any other questions here? Oh, Lynn?
Will it reach? This really is not a question. Clearly this is an issue we're all interested in. And I just want to thank you and the panel and also the chamber and the survey and all the work that you are doing is so appreciated by so many of us. And I have a much better feeling leaving than I did coming in. So thank you.
Maybe we'll have to continue this dialogue. Yes, please.
Image. You know, I know from financial people and even my clients that are from Larchmont that work in the city, they say, why do you need Love Larchmont? Why do you need, it's all about the train commute, it's all about the school system. This is all, how do we change this label system that just, this is what's important instead of community and understanding that in order for us to thrive, we need to come back as a community, and this is our strength. So just thought, if you have.
It's late. Yes,
Yeah, sorry. Just to comment on that, you know, something that we talked about with the chamber, and we actually met with Peter Finelli the other day, was really starting to do something to bring the community together. And we thought the month of December would be a great opportunity. What we presented to him was something called Light Up Larchmont, where we really do something that's going to impact, you know, the village here, get families involved, get businesses involved, get communities involved, and really make it a coming together of the community. We figured it would be a great time to also celebrate, hopefully, the finish of the streetscape. So yes, we think you are completely right. Bringing the community together is super, super important.
And bringing the community together is what we've done this morning. We want to say that the spirit of volunteerism is alive and well in Larchmont. We're thrilled with that the spirit of volunteerism is what has promoted all of this excitement about rejuvenating, revitalizing Larchmont. We hope it succeeds. All of us here together hope it succeeds. And we thank you for coming for this morning. And thank our panel, too. They were wonderful.